Hi, I'm Seth Grant with Sailrite, and in today's video we're going to show you how to make this zippered pocket, most commonly seen in bag making. This zippered pocket has a beautiful outside finished look with a zippered inside pocket, so you can reach your hand in there, and it's finished there at the bottom. And normally you would cover this with a lining material, so there'd be a lining on the inside of your bag, and you'd never see this portion of the pocket. So it's really a great pocket for bag making. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure the width of our zipper, and our zipper is a little over an inch. This is a number 5 zipper, and so what I like to do is make my gap for my zipper pocket about a little less than half of the width of the zipper. So in this case, I'm going to make a 1/2 inch gap for this zipper. Okay, so I'll take my lining fabric and I'm going to measure down from the top of the material 1.5 inches down, and strike a line across. It can be almost all the way across. I'm not going to go all the way to the outside edges when I put it on, but it's fine. And now I'm going to come down to 2 inches, or a 1/2 inch down from that previous line, and strike a second line here, all the way across. And then I'm going to measure the length of my zipper. So my zipper, this is an 8-inch zipper, a bridge style zipper, and I'm going to add 1 inch to the length of that, but I first need to find the center of this piece. So this piece is 13.5 inches, meaning the center of it is 6 3/4. So 6 3/4 is right here. I measure the zipper again. It's 8 inches. I'm going to add 1 more inch to this, so it's going to be 4.5 inches on either side of that.
We're creating this as an example. In a normal application, it'd probably be better to go only a 1/2 inch extra on the length so that our zipper lands really close to the edge of our finished opening.
Okay, then I'm going to strike these lines up to all the way across it, and you really can just eyeball it. It's totally fine. And then I'm going to strike a line right down the center of this, so it'll be a 1/4 inch up or a 1/4 inch down from that side, all the way across. And if it doesn't look even, straighten it by eye. I've tried a few times and I'm like, okay, it's measured right, but it doesn't look even. I want it to be even when I go across. So there, that's good enough. I'll end up cutting a little bit on this side of the line. And then I'm going to go to these corners, and about a 1/2 inch into the corner, I'm going to make a triangle. So starting at about a 1/2 inch, doesn't have to be exact. Make a triangle this way, and you notice I moved it towards where I see the center of that line being. And I'll do the same thing on this end over here. I'm just going to do it by eye. Down to that side, and down to this side. Okay?
We're using a fabric called Krypton for this sample piece, and it does have a right side and a wrong side, so you'll want to make sure you pay attention to that. We have the right side surface facing up.
And usually you would have a position for this. I'm going to just basically center it. I don't need to measure because I'm making a sample piece, and I'll drop it down probably about 3/4 to an inch from that top edge right there. And then I'm going to take my clips, and let's see if these clips can make it. Yeah, they do. And these are the grip clips. They work great. And then I will also wrap this material underneath around the back and clip it down here at the bottom just so it doesn't move. And now we're going to go to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew around this box that we created. We won't sew into the triangles. We'll just sew around the perimeter of this box, just like that. We're using a Tech 70 thread and a size, I think it's a 14 needle, and we're going to sew in a 3 to 4 millimeter stitch length. Okay, so we're going to start sewing here at this corner, and I'm actually going to position my stitch first. So I'm holding my trailer, and I'll put my needle down in there, then I'll lower the foot, and I'll do a tiny bit of reversing here at the beginning. So just a couple little stitches in reverse so it doesn't come free, and then I'll sew on that line all the way across. And then I've already set my stitch tension, but I'm going to check it one time here, and it looks great. So I'll keep going, and if the clip is interfering with the fabric, the way it's laying, just move it. So down here to the end, And I want to land this stitch on approximately on that corner. It should be really close, so I'll use the reverse lever to manipulate this next stitch. So I'm holding the reverse lever a little past half, get it in the right spot, needle coming back up, lift the foot, rotate the material, sew down to this corner, and manipulate it the same way so I land on the corner. Looks like this one's pretty close, a little bit farther. Right there. If you're a little off, it's going to be okay because this is just the folding stitch. Okay, I'm going to roll this up so I can put it under the arm. Needle's coming up a little bit again. Lift the foot, rotate, sew down this side, and I'll sew all the way up to this end over here and do a little bit of reversing right here. And then I'll show you what's next. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to fold this so that the stitches are right on top of one another, front to back, so I can feel the underside and I can see that you see the stitches are on top of one another. Very important that you get this lined up. And then I'll take my scissors and I'll start the cut right on that line. Sometimes it takes a little bit of force to do this, but you just got to get it started. So now that I have a little hole, I can stick my scissors in and I'm going through both layers of material and I'll trim all the way across right on top of that line. And you don't want to start that cut in your triangle. You want to start it past the triangle. I won't end up cutting all the way to the end. I'll cut to the tip of the triangle right here. And then I'll take my scissors and I will cut on those triangle lines to each one of these corners. Just like that. Okay. Turn it around. Do the same thing over here. Cut up to the triangle. Cut to the corners. Don't cut into the stitches. So now the next step is to take my material and push it through this hole, all of it, to the back side. You're going to start to see what this is going to look like. So this is going to be where I put my zipper for my zipper opening. Okay. And once you get it all smoothed out, I like to come here to the back and actually use basting tape. You don't have to use basting tape, but I'm going to baste this down. So I'll use the 1/4 inch basting tape for canvas and upholstery. And I'll put the basting tape on top of this allowance right here, all the way across. And you don't have to, you could actually just baste down the lining, but I think this makes it a lot easier. So I'll baste this down, check to make sure I like the way it looks on this side. So there you see I'm going to have a nice line. And then I'll put basting tape on top of here and baste the lining down to this. Okay, and you can see I'm forming the pocket and I'm trying to keep my lining away from this hole so you don't see it. Sometimes I'll actually put the lining in the hole if I think it looks good, and I don't even worry about it. Okay, and then I'll flip up this and I'll do the same to this, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do at the corners. Out here at the corners, I'm just going to use one little piece of basting tape, go across that seam allowance right there, or the triangle I cut out, and then I'm going to baste this down until I get a pleasing look. So right there, that looks pretty good. You can check it on the outside. So it looks like I can pull it back a little bit more. So you see that? I'll try to push this back just a little bit more, just so more fabric shows and less lining. That looks nice right there. And then I'll do the same thing over here. Sometimes when you're sewing light fabrics, basting tape has a tendency to gum up your needle, but since we're sewing such a short distance just around this, we shouldn't have any problems here. Okay, so here's my zipper, and I'm going to put the pocket over it just to show you what it would look like. And you'll notice that we've set it up so that we're going to end up having these little gaps here at the end. And I don't necessarily love that, but this avoids sewing through the zipper. So you could reduce the amount of excess you have on each side to a 1/2 inch, which probably would have been better. But I've also made bags where I've sewn through the zipper teeth, and you can do that, but you need to go really slow, and it oftentimes doesn't result in the best stitch quality. So we're just going to sew it in like this, but if you wanted to have it end closer to the zipper, only add a 1/2 inch extra to your hole on your lining fabric when you're tracing it. So now I'm just going to put basting tape down the sides of the zipper, really close to this edge. This is the 1/4 inch basting tape again. And I'll run it down this side, and then I'll show you what's next. I'm going to peel off my transfer paper. Now I'm going to take the zipper, and with the zipper flat on the table, I'm going to apply this over the top of it, making it even on each end. So you can see over here it's even amounts of space over here and here. And then I'm going to baste it to the zipper so that it's also even. So this can take a little bit of time. You can always peel it up and move it around, but you want to get it so that it looks nice and even on both sides of the zipper. All the way across. That looks pretty good. A little bit of move this a little up. Right there. I'm going to move my needle into the left position and use the outside edge of my inside foot along our fabric to sew around this. And I'm going to start just a little past this corner. I don't want to start, actually I could start on the corner. I'll start on the corner, like just a little bit past the corner, and then I'll end up sewing both my reversing stitches right here. So do a little reversing here at the beginning. And everyone will see this stitch, so take your time. And I'm just going to make sure I line that thing right up to the side of the fabric as I sew around the perimeter. Okay, we're coming up to the zipper pull here. I'm going to bury my needle, and then I'm just going to lift my foot and push this past so it's not in the way. Lower my foot, continue to sew. Hitting the teeth a little bit. Okay, I'm going to sew up to this corner, and I want to get my stitch positioned exactly like I did before, where it's not too close or too far. So I'll use my reverse lever again, and right about there. Needle coming up, lift the foot, rotate on that needle, lower the foot, sew down. Use the reverse lever again to position the next stitch. Needle coming up. And notice that, I should have said this at the beginning, notice this material is not folded under. If this folds under and gets sewn in, then you're going to have to tear some stitches. So you want to make sure that material is not underneath the foot of the sewing machine. See, look, so now you notice I'm not far enough, so I actually need to put my stitch, let's see. Actually, no, that's a good spot. If I wasn't far enough, I'd use the reverse lever and move my stitch again, but I'm fine. Okay. Coming up on the pole again, bury the needle, lift the foot, zip it past, lower the foot, keep sewing. Okay, want to make sure that, look, it looks like my material got a little bit closer to the zipper right here. So I'm actually going to pull the zipper up and push that back. Sorry if you can't see. There we go. See, now it looks even again. And I'll continue to sew down to here. Come into the corner. Same general tech principle. Reverse lever to position the stitch. Needle coming up. Lift the foot, turn. Same thing again. Looks like my stitch landed in the right spot that time, so don't have to go through that process. Lower it, and then I'm going to sew over these stitches and do a tiny bit of reversing here. There we go. And now it's sewn in place, and there is our zipper pocket, so we'll move on to the next step here. So now I flip my panel over, and this is my pocket. And I'll take this piece and I will fold it all the way up here to the top to line up the corners. It doesn't even, if it doesn't line up, it doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to cut this piece perfectly. And now I'm going to sew all the way around the 3 sides of this pocket that aren't already finished. And I want to start sewing on this corner so that the material is always on the outside of my foot, not on the inside. So this is the corner I'll start on. And I'll just start here at the bottom down here. And also, I'm going to put it back into my needle back into the center position, and then I'm just going to keep the outside of the pocket up against this edge of the foot. This is only really a stitch. The stitch needs to hold, obviously, but it doesn't really matter where you position it. So I'm just going to make my pocket as big as I can. I'm going to do some reversing down here at the bottom, and then just sew around this, making sure I line these edges up. So got my needle buried to make adjustments. Line up the edges. Notice I've pulled all the decorative fabric back so that we're not sewing through it. You want to make sure you don't sew through any of your decorative fabric. It does not have to be perfectly aligned, so you should not be alarmed if it doesn't line up perfectly. It really does not matter at all.
And our zippered pocket is now complete. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Also, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified when new videos become available. From all of us here at Sailrite, I'm Seth Grant. Thanks for watching.